Hey, and welcome back to the EducateHer Sanctuary, where we have big conversations, mindset shifts, personal growth, and all the things that help us live more intentionally. Whether you are a mom, a teacher, a community leader, or a woman holding space for others, this show is absolutely for you. Today, I really just want to have a heart-to-heart. Lately, I have been thinking about how life has this funny way of just lining things up for us, even when we don't see it coming or when we don't want it to go that way. So I started to think about wow, it is really amazing how things come together when we really don't expect things to come together, even when we feel like things could be an inconvenience. So I have been reading this book called The Serendipity Mindset. The author's name is Brian Cush, but it talks about things that happen that we might see as a coincidence. That's what we always say, like, oh, that was such a coincidence, or that was an inconvenience. But the whole point is that when we open our eyes to those little unexpected moments, you can start to see that nothing is actually random. Everything is really all connected. And honestly, I've had the most vivid living situation of how all this plays out right after I read 3 chapters. But anyway, if you have been following along my journey, you know that I have been dealing with this whole car situation. Like, my car broke down a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to go through how that all happened and the miracle that happened even in that. You can go back and listen to the last 2 episodes. But it was completely unexpected, and it wasn't in my summer plan. So I'm going to rewind back to a week or 2 before that all happened. I was actually driving home with my daughter, and we were leaving gymnastics, coming home, and then she said, "Mom, can we swing by Publix really quickly?" because she wanted some cookies or something. And I was like, "No, I don't feel like going to Publix. I'm so tired. I'm ready to go home." But when I actually got towards the Publix, I decided, oh, you know what? I can get this for dinner, and then I won't have to cook. And so we go to Publix. As we were walking in the door that day, we bumped into one of her gymnastics friends and her mom. So her daughter wanted to stop and talk beyond just like hi. They wanted to talk about some other things and the teacher and all this other, and they wanted to give hugs and all this stuff that I didn't really feel like doing. Normally, I would just let the kids say hi and then, go and keep it moving. But that particular day, the mom said, "Hi, how are you? What's your name? I'm so-and-so." And I'm giving her, we're exchanging like all these greetings. And so when they were getting ready to walk off, the mom turns back and she says, "Hey, maybe I can get your phone number. We could exchange numbers so that the girls could hang out sometime." Okay, that's such a normal thing to do. I did not think anything of it, but stay with me because this is going somewhere. I said, sure. I gave her my number, and I went on about my day. Now, if anybody knows me, and most of you might not, I don't really call people like that. I get in my house and I don't do anything. Go look at my viral video that has almost 600,000 views on it now about how I will be on Do Not Disturb all day. I'm okay in my house, never talking to nobody. I'm so good with that. And so fast forward 2 weeks, my car breaks down, okay? I had to get it towed that day. It wasn't quickly repairable, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God. So of course, my first thought is the only place that I really need to go is to get my daughter to gymnastics. So how am I going to get her back and forth to gymnastics? So I'm like, okay, I could take an Uber, but I'm looking it up, and it's like $30 each way. So $60 each way a few times a week. If I did that for an entire month, Lord Jesus, that's already like the first car note of a new car. So I'm like, well, I don't know enough people here. Like, I only know a couple people. They live like 30 to 45 minutes away. It wouldn't be practical to call them to ask them to come and take me. So I'm sitting there like, I don't know what to do. So my daughter comes in and she's like, "Mom, maybe you could ask my friend's mom." And I'm like, "Who is your friend?" And so she reminded me that I had got this mom's number 2 weeks before. Problem, I felt so awkward because I'd never even called her. I never called, I never texted. I did what I always do. I have a million numbers in my phone and I don't really call anybody. So I felt a little awkward reaching out to her for a ride. And a year ago, I probably would not have. I would have just been like, well, we just gonna thug it out and we just gonna have to, suffer and pay all this money for like the Uber rides. But I am in a different season, so I put my pride to the side and I decided to send her a message. Not only was she happy to help y'all, she picked us up. I offered her like gas money and she was like, absolutely no, you don't have to do anything. And so during that first ride there and back, we talked the whole way. It was very natural. Nothing felt forced. It felt like we had known each other for a very long time. When she dropped us back off to the house and I was getting ready to get out of the car to come into the house, she had said, anytime you need a ride, just call me. Like, I'm here. I have to go that way anyway. I'll take you and you never have to worry about paying me a dime. Now, of course, that didn't sit right with me because I'm used to like the whole like give and take thing. If you give me something, I'm supposed to give you something back. So it's very hard for me to be on the receiving end without being on the giving end. But anyway, she wasn't going to take anything, so it was fine. But then she said something else that planted it literally like it's going to be in my mind for the rest of my life. And she had said, I have been praying for someone, like a friend that I could talk to that would allow her to practice her English because English is not her first language. She had said that it's been such a struggle for her moving into this particular neighborhood because everyone speaks a different language and no one really has English as their first language, which is true. And so she was like, I'm so happy I can talk to you because I get to practice my English. So now I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, we are two people with a need. My car breaks down and I need a ride back and forth to gymnastics. She gets the friendship and conversation that she said that she's been praying for years. And not the first time, but when we met up again, she said, I want you to know that I'm not happy that your car broke down and I do hope that you get a new car, but I am happy because I feel like God sent you to me. Nothing is an accident. And that's when it was like light bulbs and sounding alarms went off. It's like sometimes our little inconveniences, they're not for us. It is for other people too. We never know what somebody else is actually praying for. And because they're praying to God, it is pulling us to them. And sometimes our inconveniences are setups to be able to help somebody else with their lives and their situations too. I'm going to be honest, because I always feel like my inconveniences are for me, right? I was so baffled as to God, why would you even allow my car to break down when you know I need it, right? But he also knows that I need friends too. He also knows that I need community too. He also knows that I want a car. I just wasn't ready to get it now. But I also needed the push because if I have everything that I need, then I'm probably going to be fine being by myself, moving along with life and not really connecting with that many people unless I absolutely need to. So what God did was step in and he created a win-win situation of what I thought was an inconvenience, but it really was a setup. So he set me back to set me up. So what's the takeaway here and what is really the purpose of this? It is for you to realize that sometimes what feels like an inconvenience or a setback is really just an answered prayer. It could be your prayer that you didn't even really know that you were praying for, and it could be an answer to someone else's prayer. We don't always see the big picture, but God always does. He lines up everything perfectly, even when the plan feels messy or delayed to you. I often think about how quick we are to get frustrated when things do not go our way. So we plan out everything ahead of time. We plan out the timing, we plan out the how, we plan out the who. And when life does not turn out like we planned it, then we start panicking. We start questioning God, we start stressing about the situation, and we start trying to force things back on track the way that we want it. But my question to you is, what if the detour is the right track? What if your plan was the wrong track and the detour is the right track? What if the thing that you're actually mad about is the thing that exactly is what needed to happen to get you closer to what you really needed because you didn't know what you needed? So I am learning that closed doors, that breakdowns, that delays in our lives, they're not punishment for us. A lot of times they are our protection. A lot of times they are our preparation. A lot of times it is our positioning for the right place and the right time and the right connection. My little car situation, it could have felt like a burden. But instead, it showed me that sometimes God is working out multiple blessings at one time. I got a ride that I needed most, and this sweet woman got the friendship and the practice for her English that she has been praying for, I think she said, for the last 2 or 3 years. So do not be quick to label your detour as a disaster. It might be divine. It might be your reminder that there's always something working behind the scenes that you can't see. And maybe it's bigger and better than anything that you could have thought or imagined or orchestrated on your own. So if you all know anything about the Educator Sanctuary, we're going to have homework every single week. And so for the homework this week, I want you to think about something in your life that feels inconvenient to you, that feels delayed right now. Right? Maybe you want to say it out loud. Maybe you just want to keep it in your mind, and maybe you want to write it down. For me, I'm a writer. I'm going to put everything in my journal. And instead of stressing over it once you get it somewhere, ask yourself, how can I show up differently while I wait? Maybe that different means shifting your attitude. Maybe that different means finding small ways to just be grateful. Because one thing that I did say when my car broke down is, God, I'm grateful. I don't know why you did this right now, but God, I'm grateful. Sometimes it's taking the next small step instead of trying to fix the whole thing overnight, something that I still need practice with because I'll be needing a solution today, okay? But sometimes it's just taking, what's the one thing that I can do towards my solution? Doing any one tiny thing keeps you open and expectant, then feel like you have to do all the things at one time. Maybe it's sending a text. Maybe it's checking in with somebody. Maybe it's simply praying, God, show me what I need to learn from this situation, or show me what I need to see, or show me what you want me to do in this moment. So that is your homework, and that is the end of today's podcast. If this resonated with you in any shape, fashion, or form, I would love if you would just go back and listen to 1 or 2 more episodes. It really helps us get to our 1,000 downloads. It also helps keeps this show growing. Also, share this episode with at least 5 women who you know need a little reminder that their detour might just be divine. And if you have not already, please leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you're listening to this on. It really does help us reach more women like you who really need these conversations. Listen, nothing is by chance because we are purposeful beings living on purpose. Nothing that's meant for you will pass you by. What looks like a setup might be setting you up for something so much bigger than you can plan for yourself. Peace and love, everybody. I will see you and talk to you the next time on the Educator Sanctuary. Bye. Thank you for joining me in the Educator Sanctuary, where we create a space for women educators to reclaim their power and prioritize themselves unapologetically. If you've loved what you've heard, please do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women who need to hear this message. Until next time, remember, you are capable, you are powerful, and you are absolutely worthy. You've got this. Talk soon.